Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey adequate notice of this meeting. The Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders was provided in the following manner. It was published in the Press of Atlantic City, the Current, Daily Journal, Hamilton Gazette News, and the repostings on the bulletin boards in county office buildings in Atlantic City, here at Stillwater, in the clerk's office. Will all please rise for an opening prayer.
Almighty God, we ask Thee to grant us the wisdom to walk in Thy light and the courage to accept the responsibilities placed upon us. Guide us by Thy truth, uphold us by Thy power, and grant that Thy presence may ever be with us.
All face the flag, please. Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chairman, Freeholder Corsi is out sick today, and Freeholder Gatto is out of the country.
Thank you.
Bennett? Here. Bertino?
Here.
Days? Fitzpatrick?
Here.
Kern?
Here.
Risley?
Here.
And Formica.
Here. Freeholders, we all had a chance to read a copy of our minutes from 9/25. If you had a chance to read them, were present, wish to make any comments, corrections, or additions, please do so now. Otherwise, I'll take a motion to adopt.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Bennett?
She's here.
I'm here.
Yes. Bertino?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes. Okay, our first order of business today is a presentation.
Atlantic County Institute of Technology Expansion and Renovation Project by Dr. Philip J. Gunther, Superintendent.
Dr. Gunther, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce some of the others who are with me today representing ACIT. We have our business administrator, Mrs. Lisa Mooney, our architectural team of Larry Marighi, Tommy Sykes, and Mark Petrella. They're working together and have been working with us for about a year on looking at what our long-range facility needs are. We're here today to talk about what our long-range facility needs will be at ACIT, and also to talk to you about the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act, which is on the referendum, as you know, next week. We have been engaged in the planning process for quite a while, as I've already said, and we've had conversations, of course, with our advisory board, which is made up of almost 300 businesses and professionals and tradespeople from throughout Atlantic County. Had many conversations with our chairman and our county executive and other members of the Freeholder Board about what the economic development needs of Atlantic County are all about. ACIT has been a member of the aviation group since its founding, and we have been involved in meetings with the Economic Development Committee from the county, as well as the other educational institutions in the county, to make sure that we're all aligned in supporting the same vision for economic development in Atlantic County. Our chairman, Mr. Formica, has had numerous conversations about workforce with me, and for the alignment of what the needs of the county will be with the training needs for young people and adults in the future of Atlantic County. So I want to begin by showing a little bit about who we are, what we are, and then talk a little bit about our needs. But before I do that, I gave you a sheet on Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act, which is on the ballot. This initiative, as you know, provides for $500 million in state funds. $350 million would be for K through 12 security projects and the expansion of career technical schools, the shops, the labs, the classrooms at the county vocational technical schools. There are 21 schools throughout the state like ACIT. They are specialized schools that provide a career-focused education for the students in the respective counties. $50 million would be for career and technical education projects at the county colleges. and then another $100 million for water infrastructure projects at schools throughout the state of New Jersey. This bond act actually started a little larger. It was about $1 billion when it started, and Governor Murphy did reduce the amount to $500 million that would be shared between the entities that I just discussed. The good thing about this funding, if we are successful in securing the funding, is that it's a 75% grant, 25% local match. Typically, County of Atlantic, and Bonnie Lindow is here, our county treasurer. She sits on our board as well at the tech school. Typically, we get 40% debt service aid. So the county funds, actually bonds for the entire amount. 60% of funding comes from Atlantic County and 40% from the state. This is a grant for 75% of the funding. So we've been involved in the long-range planning for a number of years because of our growth. And we've experienced tremendous growth in the last 10 years in particular, where we are about 150% in terms of enrollment growth over that time frame. The good news is the state funding actually started to catch up. As you know, it was frozen in 2008. Last year, our state funding increased significantly, and we were able to give most of that money back to the sending districts in the form of tuition relief. I want to talk a little bit about ACIT, and I'll move over here so I'm not standing in front of anybody. So, most of you, if not all of you, have been to our school. Freeholder Fitzpatrick and Kern were there recently in Gatto for a press conference with Atlantic Electric, which is one of our partners as well. So this is a shot of the front of our building as it exists right now. This is the new entranceway. The expansion project that we did in 2012 included connecting 3 separate buildings that were built in 1974 and updated in 93, and then we did an addition in 2012 to connect those buildings to accommodate a full-time comprehensive career and technical high school. So basically, these are our current programs. We have Air Force Junior ROTC. We have an aviation studies program with Atlantic Cape Community College, where the students spend part of the day at Atlantic Cape and part of the day at ACIT. Our goal is to provide an opportunity for those students to get an associate's degree in aviation studies and their high school diploma upon graduation. We have an automotive technology program. The students get their ASE certifications, and if you go to an auto repair facility, you'll see those ASE certifications on the wall. It's a very important process for the students to go through. Building technology, we have carpentry, plumbing, and electrical in those programs. Computer-aided drafting and design, CAD, is a program that allows students to go into industry using the AutoCAD and other design programs, or go on to college to study architecture, or continue in that program for advanced drafting skills. Cosmetology is one of our most popular programs. In fact, we just renovated that area this summer, and we have 3 full cosmetology shops right now. Culinary arts is another very popular program in our school, and we have a great teaching kitchen and a lot of demand for students to come into that program. Dental assistant, we have a specialized dental assisting area. Health sciences, or I should say fashion, decoration, and design. We have two fashion areas, and once again, students go directly into the world of work, or they go on to study in New York or Philadelphia for careers in fashion. Health sciences and medicine is another one of our very large programs that prepares students. They take a sequence of courses: anatomy and physiology, medical terminology. They experience a lot of the careers in the health care industry, and as you know, health care is one of those areas identified in our economic development plan. Hospitality, travel, and tourism. Actually, we're hoping to bring this back. When there was a downturn in the casino industry, we saw very little interest in that program, but we're hoping that it expands in the future. Information technology is computer science, and we have a very large computer science program. In fact, it's It's so large that we're going to be able to split it into two separate entities, one for coding, more of the hardware, software track, and one more toward design and that part of the industry. So a lot of students, of course, are interested in computer science. Math, engineering, and science, it is our STEM program. We have a rather unique program. It's a 4-year program. It is taught by a civil engineer. We have 2 female teachers. One is a civil engineer and one is has a master's in architecture. So students go through a 4-year program in engineering. They're exposed to all aspects of engineering. In fact, Larry's on our advisory board. We have a medical assisting program. Students in that program go directly into the world of work. They're in your doctor's offices, in the hospital. In fact, you probably would have a hard time getting to a medical office in Atlantic County that doesn't have one of our graduates there. And we have a Performing Arts Academy. As you know, we have a very nice performing arts center. And students not only are involved in dance and drama and vocal, but they also have the technical skills, so they're behind the scenes with lighting, sound, and set construction. Our present enrollment is a little over 1,600 students, and we have a functional capacity for 1,680. So we are right at capacity right now. We have an unmet demand of about 600 students. We calculate that by we get over 1,000 applications a year for 450 seats in our freshman class. In fact, when I leave here tonight, I'll be going back to ACIT. We have our second open house, and we typically get over 1,000 people at the 2 sessions of an open house. So we're bringing in close to 2,000 people on those 2 nights. This is our enrollment trend. You can see from 2009, where we had about 750 students, to where we are right now, over 1,600. That's full-time enrollment, because what we did was we phased out the share time, and we brought all the students in on a full-time basis. These are the numbers in our enrollment by program, the programs I just mentioned, and you can see that we have some very large enrollment in culinary, health sciences, and the number of applications we get for that as well, information technology, and you can look at those numbers and see that there are strong areas that correlate to what the demands are, both in the county and what we're seeing nationwide. This is an enrollment chart by sending district, so it gives you a glimpse of where our students are coming from. One of the things that's unique about ACIT is a very diverse student body. As you can see, they come from all over Atlantic County. Our largest sending district is Greater Egg Harbor Regional, but that also makes up 3 high schools. So we have a large number of students from Pleasantville, and it pretty much follows the population centers of the county. And this is our enrollment by ethnicity, so you can see that we have a very diverse student population. Also looking at enrollment by ethnicity and gender, it's a little hard to see, but we actually have, which is kind of interesting, we have a lot of females, and that's good. In some, we're always trying to get more females in the non-traditional areas like engineering and information technology, and also into the trade areas. So we work very hard to expose females to those types of careers. So the new programs that we are looking at, if we are successful in receiving grant funding, would be aviation mechanics, which would be directly aligned to what you are already doing with the aviation industry. It would also be aligned with the program that Atlantic Cape will establish. So our students, typically what happens is in the programs where we are aligned with Atlantic Cape, and there are many, there are information technology, culinary, aviation now, our students will go in with advanced standing, which will save them time and save their parents money as well as they achieve those college credits in a technical area going into Atlantic Cape. Exercise science is another area in the health sciences area that we feel there is a need, and we're hearing the demand. We are also looking to reestablish our auto collision technology program. We presently have a shop, but we do not have enough classroom spaces to accommodate all the students who will go into that area. Diesel technology, we would be building a new diesel technology shop. There has been a lot of demand from employers in the area. They are searching for employees in that area and have been very involved in trying to stand that program back up. Welding, we would establish a new welding shop that would support our aviation industry, as well as teaching of welding to both high school and adult students. And then HVACR, which is heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration. We have a plumbing program right now, but we would like to add the HVACR as a separate program. And once again, there is tremendous demand for that as well. So with that, we had the newer programs, and then of course expanding our programs and building technology. We would look to increase the number of students in those areas, and we need the support areas to facilitate the larger enrollment. And that is in building technology, culinary arts, and dental, our health sciences and medicine. We have a lot of applications in these areas. Hospitality, travel, and tourism, as I said, we would like to make sure that we are serving the needs of the largest industry in our county right now better. The culinary is part of it, but the hospitality, travel, and tourism, we see that making some strides in terms of coming back now that the economy has turned around. We have more people employed in that industry. Medical assistant and math, engineering, and science. So we are establishing that need, and we have a new aviation lab, new HVACR diesel, welding labs, new exercise science classrooms, additional health science classrooms, additional culinary arts labs, and academic classrooms, a new gym. Right now we only have one gym with 1,600 students, which is already a challenge, and athletic support facilities. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Larry Marighi to talk a little bit more about the need, and Tom Sykes, who have been working with us and the staff. This is a very collaborative process to try and figure out where we're going to go. One of our challenges that they're going to show to address is we took over the old special services building, so that's a part of the reason why we've been able to accommodate additional enrollment. But that building is about 250 yards from the other building, so right now we're busing students back and forth, which is a tremendous cost and a waste of time. They're going to show how we're going to try and fix that problem. But what we've been able to do by managing things very well, we've been able to renovate that building and to make it usable for our needs, and we'll continue to do that down the road. So I'll turn it over to Larry and Tom.
Thank you. My name is Larry Marighi. I'm a principal of management for Tarot. We do a lot of school work and actively working with Sasha for quite a few years. At ACIT, over the last 3 years, we've been finding every empty closet or space where we can create new classrooms. So every summer now, we've done 3 projects on firms, again, to try to accommodate the program Dr. Gunther referenced. Obviously, Dr. Gunther mentioned the major space needs. We're going to be showing you the new building, some conceptual sketches. Really, it's dealing with those areas that there's such demand in the area, whether it's aviation, HVACR, diesel, welding, exercise science, culinary arts is expanding. And we're trying to figure out ways, how do we best do this? We can do it in both buildings, the existing main building and in the new building we're proposing. But then there's the support spaces. Everyone always, I'm an educational planner where I'm dealing with, functional capacities and what's capacity generating, but there's also support spaces. You need parking, you need storage area. Chris Wagner would tell us we definitely need lots of storage there. But additional administrative spaces, we need to accommodate the students in cafeterias. We don't want them going to lunch 7th period. We really like them to have lunch around noontime if that's at all possible. So, you know, Sash and my firm really looked into these things, and that's the slide. So, what's the project? You know, in a nutshell, it's a 3-story addition. It's about 143,000 square feet right now, a fairly large addition. And then it's a multi-purpose building that has a lot of different uses. And it's going to be connecting this is what we refer to as the south annex with the main building. So we're going to create this almost like a Stockton. You know, the buildings are kind of linked together, so the students can get from one to the other. But part of this is also additions and alterations of the main building, and you're going to see we're trying to keep in our plan aviation, diesel, HVAC are tied to the original building. You know, because we have room there as opposed to, and you'll see it in the plans, I guess. So we're going to have these pedestrian links from the main building and the south wing to this new facility. And then there's alterations and renovations of some of the academic areas. We've been working very closely with the administration on what those areas are. And then there's always the need for athletic fields and a track we have in the plan, and additional parking as mentioned before. So, so we want to expand this program. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the site and the plans, and then I'll ask maybe Tom or Mark to talk a little bit about the concept plan for the exterior. So you can see here we have the main building, the existing athletic fields, and the south wing. You can't tell from this slide, but there's about a 14-foot grade change. This elevation is about 58, and this is at 72. So in terms of designing this building, we're really trying to consider how do we make this come together. So what we're proposing is this building right here. So again, these are the existing trade wings here. This is a link to the new building at grade, which is the lower level. We'll call it the lower level of this building. The second level, which is the same level of the south wing, would connect with the building. So I think on the next slide, this is kind of a view, an overview of, again, the south wing here, the trade wings over here, the new building here. You can see the athletic field with the track and the grandstand. Here it is. So, again, existing main building, south wing, and our new building. And you can see the red is like the major traffic pattern through. So basically at this knuckle right here, you'd be coming up and getting to this level of the south wing. So again, it's 3 levels. The main level is almost, I would say, the level of the south wing, with the lower level, which will have windows, and you'll see in the plan what we're proposing there. But we can get students through this building. Right now, there's a bottleneck here getting into the trade wings, so we came up with a plan to cut through here, so it makes it easier for students to get through. And the plan. So again, this is the main level. This is the same level as the south wing. You can see the traffic pattern is this light color here. Basically, it's our new gym and locker rooms, support spaces along here, whether it's a trainer, a nurse, an ED. Then this cafeteria that will serve most of the students who are in the south building, and a couple of culinary arts labs, servery, and a kitchen, cafe. And then there are some classrooms here that would have a multi-purpose use, like let's say it's at night, and there's something going on in the gym. We can close these walls. We have a large meeting space that the public can use. So that's on the main level. If we go up, you see a major academic piece, which is our health and medicine science here. Again, there's an elevator over here. And you can connect from this stair that goes back over to the main building. If a student has a class up here, they can jump in an elevator or go up the steps, come across here, and get to this classroom thing. So again, this is the health, medicine, science area right here, and obviously the 2-story gym. And we have it where you can actually get out onto the bleachers from that level with a press box, again, making it accessible. And then in the lower level, we have storage areas, weight rooms, athletic storage, aerobics room, and health, more kind of health sciences, a second set of locker rooms on the lower level. This is an interesting slide. There is a need in the community for a pool. It's hard to get pool time. My firm designed a pool with a prep. It's used all the time. I guess the Hess School has a pool, and that's very busy, and AC High School. But there's a possibility of adding an 8-lane pool here. That would be, and the pool would be the lower level. The viewing area would be at the main level here. So that is an option that we're looking at. And under Tom, Mark, you want to talk a little bit about the exterior? Sure.
As I mentioned, we worked together for a period of time. We're actually roommates in college. So it's been a while. I think Larry did a very good job explaining the real theme of the project is we're operating with a North Campus and a South Campus, and we're a grade differentiation of a story, and it's substantial, 15 feet. So what we look at is a very simple, very strong building with durable materials. The exterior is what we call a rain screen. It's a way to satisfy the LEED's criteria for energy efficiency with a simple exterior skin that has a great durability quality. And other materials in the building include block, stone, and concrete with nice, clean, strong finishes. We're looking for something that actually, we're not just linking, we're bridging, and we're pulling north and south together, and we want this building to be the identity of that. And that linear walkway that comes in grade on one side and enters at a different elevation on the other actually pulls us together, and we use the bleachers formats and the overlooks to the fields as sort of the highlights of the building. This is a building that's also designed for community uses that Jim locks out at night very easily. There's a cafe adjacent to the culinary area that can lock in or lock out, and it becomes a very good community hub building as well as a very necessary operating entity for ACIT. And you can see very simple, strong forms, and again, the whole theme of our building is north and south pulled together and using the sciences, athletics, and the need for a very simple communicating link with the shop areas current, the proposed, and on to the South Campus that, again, we just renovated a few years ago. Very simple, very strong, and we hope very durable. We'd like to see this support ACIT. I think, is there any other issues we'd like to cover, Phil?
No, unless there are any questions. Jim.
Yeah, I have one question. And Doc can come to you about speak to it. One of the concerns I get when I talk to the different school districts, Bobby had this discussion a little bit in the past, on the future uses of ACIT. If it's going to still maintain a focus on specialized curriculum and vocational training, as opposed to just another school where if someone in their local town doesn't like teachers or the school administration, that they look to rush to our school. We're not in competition in any way with our original purpose, I would imagine. I'll let you speak to that. That's one of the issues I've always heard, and I know we've had that conversation with superintendents and boards of education at the districts. So that's the thoughts I have, is the curriculum and the model that we've started, which was to offer classrooms and curriculum that local schools can never handle because it's too specialized. Because that was what our original vision, I believe, was. We still maintaining that original vision.
Absolutely. In fact, we're expanding on that vision. So every student who comes to our school is involved in a career and technical program for 4 years. And the way our school works is that they have that program every day for 80 to 90 minutes a day for 4 years. So it's not a 1 period or 2 period or 3 period during the time that you're in school. This is a program that enables students to receive 40 credits in career and technical education during the time they're there. So they meet all the high school graduation requirements, and they have to also meet the requirements for their career and technical area and the certification requirements for that area. So, for instance, in cosmetology, the students have to have over 1,000 hours in order to have the certification. They actually have to spend more time in their senior year. They actually get more than 4 years of that program because they're spending additional time. Same thing in auto. They have the same certification requirements. So our linkages are really, every student there is in a career and technical program. When we look at the programs that we're adding, diesel, aviation mechanics, HVACR, the health sciences pieces that we're adding, we're looking to provide students with a career pathway that they will be using state-of-the-art equipment. And in all of our areas, the equipment that we have is very expensive. And the reason county vocational schools are set up because it's hard to duplicate that equipment all over the county. Our culinary arts area, all of you have been through there. You know the equipment that we have there. In fact, I had one of the individuals from the casino industry in the other day, and they couldn't believe our kitchen facility compared to others. You know, the ones that they've seen in industry. Same with auto. It's thousands and thousands of dollars in equipment every year to maintain that. All of our students are in the career and technical program. Now, the other thing that we're very clear to say, and we'll have an open house tonight, students in Atlantic County have tremendous choices in where they go to high school. We have great schools in the county. We're not the right school for every student. We are a school for a student who is career focused, has a good idea of what they want to do, whether it's in our academy programs where they have a general idea, I want to go into something medical, or something very specific, like I want to be a cosmetologist, because we have to get them started on that certification freshman year. So students who come to us are students who want that type of experience. It is different. We expect more from them because they have to take more classes.
I think what's important is that people understand from a misconception that this just isn't a college prep high school. This is very much a VOTech school.
Yes.
And the additions that you're putting here in this plan are embellishing the VOTech part of this school.
Absolutely. And you know, the students today in our school, they are prepared. If they choose to go to college, they have the academic courses, the majority of the students to go to college. So they will have they will have algebra, they will have the language that they need if they want to go to college. So that pathway is there for them. If they want to go directly into the world of work, they have the skills to do that. In fact, we have one of our major initiatives this year. We've always had a strong work program. We're putting more students out into industry this year than we ever have before. We are really focusing on getting students out there and getting that on-the-job experience in their senior year. So it's a very much a different type of program for students who are interested in career and technical education. Some students are not. Some students want to take all the humanities classes they can in high school. They may want to just focus on the academics. That they would still, that we're probably not the right place for them, because you have to take a career and technical program to be part of our school.
Yeah, Freeholder Dispatcher.
The way that the ACIT has developed and changed over the years, I mean, clearly this is not the VOTech from when I went to high school. Sports programs, cool, academics, that sort of thing, and that gives, I was very impressed, really impressed when I was there. And that gives students who want to start their career right away a jump start. They can step out when they're finished their senior year and they have a career. The other side, and we have to ask this question, is since this has been developing over a number of years and is now a full-blooded high school, it's not just a VOTech. The other high schools are losing students, but they still have their big facilities. So we have to think about that. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, I think it's a wonderful thing, but it's a different thing.
Yes.
So how are we going to anticipate those issues going forward? They still have to pay their electric bill.
You know, I don't know that it's in our purview to get into governing these individual school districts in Atlantic County. And I'm not here to criticize. I have discussed this naturally, as we all have, with the districts. You know, the population of Atlantic City changed between 2001 and 2011, and the job market changed, and families had to find other places to live. But I do believe that they have to individually search their own districts as to what spaces they should downsize with. I know on the island, down beach for years, they would close schools down. The neighborhood would regenerate. They'd build schools. Margate must have closed and opened in Ventnor, 5 different times. They expanded and contracted. So that's the only thing that I would say is that, you take a look. We've been talking about diversity a lot the last few weeks. Take a look at the demographic of this high school, and you realize that over 60% are minority qualified. The opportunity that it gives to students in different areas of the county that wouldn't otherwise be there is tremendous. I mean that's one thing we can't deny, because if you take a look at it, Dr. Gunther, what are we about 65% minority?
Yes. Yeah. When you look at that, right.
It's a tremendous example of diversity. This school.
We're also about 60% free and reduced lunch.
Right, so you get all the, but your question, not to divert from your question, is one that I've been dealing with and you've been dealing with this year. And it sort of seems to be a burden upon the sending districts that lost 400 students, still need to keep their lights on. So it was a tremendous relief to see the tuition reduction, because this high school was unfairly funded for 8 years.
Yes.
8 years, we were 60% under the funding formula because the state had no money. So it finally caught up. And I got a question to ask. Where are you going to put the boiler?
Well, the mechanicals are working on right now. And I should also mention,
why that's an inside joke is because we had to replace a boiler at the special services school that Fort Knox couldn't get out of the building. And I hate to tell you what it cost the taxpayers. So I hope you design this one with access, please.
Yeah, we will. And the other thing I should mention, the pool is in there as an option.
Yeah, we're looking at the pool. We're looking at the pool.
I know you did. I saw some. But the reality is that there is a tremendous need for pool time in Atlantic County. There is. We're confident that you would have facility use of that, or people would have to, with swim teams and things of that nature, would have to pay. Whether that would completely offset the cost, probably not. But we would have the facility to use. But that's something that was put in as an option. The other statistic that we're very proud of is our graduation rate hovers between 98 and 100%. So we really connect kids with things they want to do, and we understand the other school districts and whether they have level enrollment or they have declining enrollment. For us, and I know for the other educators in Atlantic County, really looking to do what's best for the student. So we know we get 1,000 applications a year, and we'll be able to accommodate 450 students. We will not be able to accommodate all 1,000 who apply. We just can't build a facility that big, and we couldn't come to you and ask. But we do try and accommodate the students. That's why we've done everything to use all of the space that we have. We have the faculty that we have that's different than a regular school district too in many of their programs is that all of our faculty have worked in that industry if they're teaching career and technical. You saw our electrical teacher who is a female electrician who is a member of the electrical union, works in the electrical union in the summer, teaches during the winter. We have everybody there is certified in the career and technical area, and they've actually worked in that area to receive that certification.
I just have a comment, because just listening to you and the types of jobs you are adding, they can come out and go right into are very good paying jobs. And they are jobs that are needed throughout our community. So, and that is something that we really need instead of some of the economic development that we've been talking about. That's a real key to what we're trying to do is get good paying jobs.
And the focus too is to have students who, if they don't go directly in the world of work, our goal is that they stay within that focus that they've started in high school, and that they come back to Atlantic County and contribute to our economy. So we have students who have actually been in our IT program or our engineering program, have done an internship at the FAA Tech Center, gone away to college, and now work at the FAA Tech Center. So for us, that is really a success that a student has been through a system, understands what they want to do, is prepared to go to college, goes, and then comes back and works in our county in an industry that is very important to our economic development.
I'm sorry. Freeholder Tina?
Yeah, I was just going to point out, which you have up there, the enrollment, and the communities are obviously taking advantage of it. And it gives them, students, the option to do it more in a vocational school, Atlantic City, Pleasantville, Greater Egg Harbor Township, and Egg Harbor Township, but the vast majority of students that are utilizing the facilities and taking advantage of the opportunities that vocational training will offer.
Yeah, it kind of follows the patterns of the size of the schools. You know, you can see that. And some schools have some career technical programs that they are operating as well. In some of the areas that are not as equipment focused. So there's a program for engineering called Project Lead the Way that a lot of schools will develop. Doesn't have to be taught by an engineer, it can be taught by a math teacher. Or we feel as career technical school, we need to have an engineer teaching engineering. They're very good programs. They're just a different way to deliver the content than what we do.
I mean, as an educator in Galveston, I realize not every student wants to go to college or should go to college. I'm already seeing some of the magnet schools at the Greater Egg Harbor Regional School offers who come to me for recommendations, and I've had, likewise, a lot of ACIT prospective students come to me for recommendations as well. So one of the concerns, obviously, the Greater Egg Harbor Region had was the large numbers that they're losing out on those students. To kind of offset that, I know you mentioned that there's 60% free in this lunch. Is ACIT eligible for Title I funding?
Yes,
That?
we're a Title I school.
And I know with that money, federal money, there's a lot of strings attached. Can that be used to help expand these vocational programs? The Title I money?
Well, it's used in very specific ways
I know
for
it's-
academic remediation and academic opportunities for students. But the one area that we do receive funding from, and Lisa Mooney's our business administrator, she'll chime in as well, is that Perkins, which is the federal funding, which allows us, and comprehensive schools as well, to start new programs, to buy equipment, which is a very, very vital source for us for both the high school program and the post-secondary programs. We receive funding in both of those areas.
So most of our Perkins money is spent on equipment purchases, with most of our Title I money going towards instruction and supplemental instructions as tutoring and more of the instructional areas, not so much with equipment.
I mean, just the reason I was asking, I think it's great that you're expanding the technical and vocational programs. Just as the large number of students come in, there's potential to receive the greater Title I funding that can be used to offset some of the other concerns that districts have had.
Right, and we can't supplant, but we can add to our programs with that funding. And as the chairman said, getting the funding this year to get us back, and we're not there yet. They are phasing this in, so we'll be getting more funding, state funding, as it gets phased in. We've been able to reduce our tuition costs to the sending districts, and we'll have some increases in areas, but with the additional funding, our tuition is calculated after all state and county aid is taken off the top. So the tuition then will continue, hopefully, to go down with the additional funding.
Thank you. Any other field of questions? Yes.
So, the question on the ballot, are we as a board willing, able to say that we think this is a good thing?
Well, certainly it is something that there's two sides of the bond issue here. There's the encumbrance. The bond issue is critical to a lot of education. So on the other side of that is the fact that we are encumbering $500 million to allow the state to create a state real estate tax. Historically, the sales tax was going to be around for 1 year. That was 47 years ago. Historically, the gas tax, you know, had an escalator in it, it can go on forever. So I mean, I think it's an individual choice as to how you talk about it. But, you know, you definitely have to consider that going to the ballot box. You know, that's my opinion. Anybody else can chime in?
One thing I would add, Mr. Chairman, we've never done it in the past. We've never taken a position on ballot.
We've never taken a position on anything on the ballot. As a board. But certainly,
And this is a conceptual, meeting at this point. You're going to have figures for us down the road, timelines, and so on. So this is an evolving discussion. So it's great. Thank you.
Well, we wanted to keep you informed. You know, this is the work that we've been doing with our volunteer board members, and
it's tremendous.
show you where we are. If grant money is available, we'll have a project, we'll be back at that time.
It certainly makes, I think, all of us feel good to see this plan going toward the VOTEC. And I mean, that's something that we hear from all constituents. And I think it may be wise to canvass our workforce needs. I had, as everybody may have heard, there's a, you call it something different. What do you call auto body here?
Let's call it auto collision technology, I think.
I love those words. I couldn't sell it better. But in auto collision technology, instead of fender benders, there is such a need for that. I mean, I had this new franchise opened up 100 in the Northeast. I'm not going to get. It's not Precision. What's the name of it? Over there on Pleasantville.
Caliber.
But Caliber. They cannot find anybody to man their shops. So I think canvassing the workforce needs on an annual or semi-annual basis should maybe be helpful in designing your curriculums.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody. All right, you're free to go or ignore the rest of the meeting.
No, actually, we have an open house. I have to go back.
All right. By the way, the culinary part of your school is, equipment-wise, I know a little bit about kitchen equipment. And later on, we'll talk about kitchen equipment. It's as good as NBC, though. It's pretty tremendous. I know I don't have to offer cannolis because you guys make tasty things on the open house. So.
Thank you for your attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's take it for you.
You gotta move that thing. This is diverting all the air conditioning onto Jerry.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good job.
Thank you.
And then give me the remote.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Take care. Thank you.
All right. We will now proceed with the rest of our agenda. Ordinance 15.
An ordinance amending section 74, chapter 4 of the Atlantic County Code entitled Boards Not Allocated Within Departments, first reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded, ordinance first reading will welcome public input. Second reading, Jerry, as I was explaining, this particular ordinance only has to do with, separating the funding for this is the Board of Elections, is that correct?
It's the official separation of the superintendent of elections from the board of elections.
Strictly housekeeping for funding purposes
That's
under
correct.
the state statute?
Correct.
Is that all this is? Any other freeholder questions? Okay, we'll call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, go on to resolutions now. 527.
Amendment to an intergovernmental services agreement with the City of Absecon for the design and construction of drainage improvements to New Jersey Avenue, Highland Boulevard, Mill Road, and Ambassador Drive to extend the term date, additional county share, $286,830.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any public interest in this resolution? Freeholder questions? We'll call the roll, please.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 528.
Competitive contract with Caring Inc. for nutrition site management at the Jeffries Towers Senior Center, amount not to exceed $62,500.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any public interest here? Freeholder comments?
Chairman.
Freeholder, yes. Please state your name, sir.
Craig Pogue, 169 Cumberland Avenue.
Yes.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, my question goes to both 528 and 529. I wasn't sure if the original bidding was done site by site, and it just so happened that one place was a better deal for the other sites, but then the people in 528 were a better deal for Jeffries Towers, or was that split up?
You got to ask a specific question for 528, please.
Specifically, I'm asking for 528 is why is that one site versus the other sites?
Sorry,
Caring Incorporated is located in Jeffries Towers, where this building is, and the programs have worked together for a number of years. So I think the Jewish Community Center just decided it was better just to leave it the way it is, and they didn't bid on it.
You're welcome. Any other freeholder questions? Call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino? Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 529.
Competitive contract with Milton and Betty Katz Jewish Community Center to provide nutrition site management at various locations throughout Atlantic County, amount not to exceed $347,680.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public interest here. Freeholder questions? Freeholder Days?
I have a couple of questions, actually, Jerry. So, I spoke with, well, it's unscientific, but a couple seniors who attend the Galway Township site, and the township manager as well. And there were some concerns as far as the kitchen cleanup. Is that part of the contract? Is the JCC required to clean up the kitchen after meals are served? Or?
Well, they're supposed to clean the equipment and everything, correct? I mean, in other words, the equipment comes in from the county. We, as you know, we have shaving dishes there. We set it up. We're supposed to clean up after we leave, and then somebody comes and picks up the equipment back from the kitchen. That's correct.
Because, it was expressed that sometimes that isn't happening, and some of the volunteers are cleaning
Getting up and
after.
leaving? Okay.
Well, yeah, and they just apparently repainted the kitchen because it had been, I guess, left pretty messy, and
Okay.
if that can be just, a couple other things is just JCC requiring, I guess it's a dollar donation to receive a meal at this site? Because I've been told that some people have been kind of pressured and they're no longer going, who otherwise would probably need to be there to receive some meals.
We're not allowed to charge
Right,
it
it's
in
a
the old
donation,
Americans
but-
Act. It's a donation, that's correct.
Right.
We're not supposed to put the,
Okay, so that's.
to force anybody to pay.
Okay, okay. And is the agreement for, at least for the Galloway site, is the same as 3 days as currently?
It's correct, yes, it's
Okay.
the same.
Okay, because I couldn't find the days of the week.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other freeholder questions on this resolution? Call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 530.
Bid contract with Kelly Winthrop Limited License Company for deer carcass removal and disposal in the amount of $40,000 for a 2-year period.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone in the public interested in deer carcasses? Freeholders?
Not an issue.
That's the issue. Call them, yes.
Dave's, again, Jerry, I know in the past we talked about maybe requiring some kind of a time period where they must be picked up and there'd be kind of a reduction. Is that in this contract? Again, I didn't see that. Or is that possible?
Well, yeah, I mean, I believe you're supposed to respond within 2 hours, I mean, depending on where, where they are. But
I just think about last year, there was that one by the parkway where
That's right.
some put balloons on the deer.
Right.
Sat there.
That's right,
And-
that's right.
Okay, so the other question is, this company's from Florida. I mean, I know
Yeah,
they're.
they have a local, there's a local office up here. I think they're in Cumberland County, if I remember correctly.
Because it goes back to the
Right.
time concern,
That's
just make sure they're done in a timely manner.
Well, if they were coming from Florida, they'd be
That's why the balloons. There's no other way around that.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to make sure, because we did have that discussion.
Yes.
That hopefully we can fix that.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Thank
Thank you. We'll call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Formica.
Yes, 531.
Bid contract with Irma Correctional Services Limited Liability Company for the provision of laundry management services at the Atlantic County Justice Facility in the amount of $132,000.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded, public interest, Freeholder comments, call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Formica.
Yes, 532.
Acceptance of amended grant funding from the New Jersey Department of Human Services, Division of Family Development for 2018 Social Services for the Homeless Program Funds. Additional funding, $84,300.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any public interest in this acceptance of grant? Freeholder comments, call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Formica.
Yes. Take a motion to please combine and adopt 533 to 535, all Chapter 159.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 536.
Agreement with Gateway Community Action Partnership for reimbursement of a portion of the expenses associated with resurfacing of the Garden Center parking lot in the amount of $13,500.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public input. Freeholders, call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Formica.
Yes, 537.
Alternate method contract with Acela Inc. for software licensing and maintenance, amount not to exceed $26,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public comment. Freeholders, call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino, Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Formica.
Yes, 538.
Bid contract with Arthur R. Henry, Inc. to provide the resurfacing of the Carter Center parking lot, amount not to exceed $87,499.63.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public concerns. Freeholder comment. Freeholder Bertino.
Jerry, just as a, for public information, why are we doing a parking lot there?
Parking lot at the Family Center, which is located in Cardiff, it's on Spruce Avenue. It's in terrible disrepair. And we're redoing the parking lot because it requires it. We have a consultant given us, I think, 3 or 4 parking lots that we needed to do for the year. And 536, if you remember, 536 was Gateway is paying for their pro rata share of the parking lot. They lease space, ground space from us on that property.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry, is it not true we own the lot, right?
We own the entire
We
property,
lease it
yes,
back?
that is correct, yes, we
I'm sorry, I didn't explain
do,
that.
yes.
Okay, call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Formica.
Yes, 539.
Bid contract with Joseph Coretta Builders, Inc. for catering hall kitchen fit out at Lenape Park East, amount not to exceed $764,400.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone in the public want to talk about that? Freeholders? Yes, Freeholder Fitzpatrick.
We talked about this in the budget meeting today. The bid came in at $764, and 4 years ago was estimated to be $750, so that's great. And what this is going to do is, 6 months after the work starts, we're going to have a fully functioning commercial kitchen at Lake Lenape, which will be available for citizens, and we'll have a vendor there to use it, and I think it's going to be a wonderful addition.
Thank you, Freeholder.
You're welcome.
Anything else? We'll call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Days,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Formica.
Yes, 540.
Bid contract with Arawak Paving Company, Inc. for the state aid highway improvement program of various roads to do the work and/or supply the materials, amount not to exceed $1,693,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public comment. Freeholders, call the roll.
Bennett, Yes. Bertino.
Yes.
Days.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 541.
Memorandum of Understanding with Atlantic Care Regional Medical Center's Emergency Medical Services, Medical Communications allowing activation and coordination of emergency medical services, resources, and equipment. Motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public opinion? Freeholders? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 542.
Lease agreement with the Center for Family Services for use of county-owned premises located at 201 South Shore Road, Northfield, amount not to exceed $68,400. Motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public interest? Freeholders? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Are any of the appointments and reappointments in the next three resolutions present in the audience today? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to combine and adopt those.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All appointed and reappointed. 546.
Authorizing consent for a roadway solicitation event by Egg Harbor Township High School Baseball Booster Club at the intersection of Ocean Heights Avenue, County Route 559, and Zion Road, County Route 615, in the Township of Egg Harbor on Saturday, November 3, 2018, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Roadway solicitation. Any public interest? Freeholders? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 547.
Supporting Senate Bill Number 2252, establishing statewide public plug-in electric vehicle charging system, sponsor Karen L. Fitzpatrick.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Freeholder Fitzpatrick, you have the floor.
Okay, so this bill passed the Senate recently, and it's before the Assembly, and what it is basically is the Volkswagen lawsuit from their emissions fraud that happened a few years ago, and New Jersey is getting money from that. So New Jersey wants to establish a network of charging stations for electric vehicles. There will be 600 stations, 600 outlets among 300 stations to alleviate what they call range anxiety, and that's when people are afraid or anxious about purchasing an electric vehicle because they don't think they'll be able to get far enough on a charge. So there will be charging stations throughout the state. And the reason this is important for us here in Atlantic County is because we are a driving destination. We have many, many more cars and buses coming here than we have living here. They pollute our air. With electric vehicles, we can alleviate that. New Jersey Transit is going to start revamping their bus inventory, I believe in 2022. And this bill is encouraging them to purchase electric vehicles when they do that. And it's just moving us forward into the 21st century, new technology, which is only better for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Sure.
Freeholder Risley?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I concur. I would like to see our state even go a lot further. I'd like to see our state offer tax incentives for people to buy hybrids and electric vehicles. I've felt this way for many, many years that we need to move towards more hybrids and electrics. One thing to keep in mind, though, with this legislation is that the other side of the cookie, as I like to say, is that it hasn't been solidified yet as to how far they're going to go with this, how big of a program. But there is a downside, there's a cost, and that cost, beyond any grant money, is going to hit in your utility bill. So this is an evolving program by the state, and where exactly or how extensive it's going to be, we don't know at this point in time. But it will impact utility bills at a point in time.
Thank you. Freeholder Fitzpatrick, want to respond to that?
Yes, actually, there is no sales tax on an electric vehicle purchased in New Jersey, and there's still an 1040, a federal income tax credit of $7,500 available. Also, Atlantic City Electric has a program where they will give a 50% discount on equipment and installation for anyone who wants to install a charger in their home.
Thank you. Freeholder Days?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I'm encouraged by the fact that the legislation talks about public and private sector investment as well, to encourage that partnership, which I think is great. I think on a more broad scale, though, is that we need to kind of look at how we plan. I mean, municipal and regional planning to make it, these types of vehicles even lower. I'm not sure the definition of the different types of electric vehicles, but so some of the neighborhoods and areas where speed limits are lower to make it a little more conducive and safer, I think, and legal for some electric vehicles to be on the road. I'm talking more like electric golf carts that can go up to 25, 30 miles an hour or so as well. So that's down the road. I mean, it's not that we're talking about here, but I think this is a good start, and hopefully moving that in another direction.
Thank you. Any other Freeholder comment? Freeholder Bertino?
Yeah, generally, obviously, it makes sense to support the legislation. Hopefully, it comes out, and not that the trend would ever change something between the two houses, so it looks totally different. But yeah, it's something I think we should obviously support. The location of these facilities, and when they talk about 300, 300 statewide is not much, and I know it's beginning, and it's just a start for them to do that. I'm assuming they're trying to read through here some of the locations on the Parkway and Expressway. I would imagine the service areas is where they're probably talking about doing it. But as you alluded to, I think the cost for providing this stuff, acquisition of land and materials and stuff that go into doing it, even from the beginning stage, it has to be finalized, obviously, so we know what the impact's going to be on the residents here in Wayne County.
Thank you. Any other Freeholder comments? Well, certainly we pride ourselves in Atlantic County as being one of the greenest, if not the greenest, in the state of New Jersey. We already have some charging stations at our ACUA. Yes, we have them in different locations, so we are already on the leading edge of this, and I think it's a great resolution to support. So, we'll call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Days?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Trevino.
Yes, that brings us to the end of our printed agenda, unless I got the wrong agenda again. So
There's only one time.
we have called here to yell at me. Reports of special committees. Any special committee reports we'd like to talk about today? As freeholders, we receive, we interface with a lot of different committees. Any special reports today? Saying none. Any unfinished business? Yes, Freeholder Fitzpatrick.
Freeholder Days, do you want to talk about the code committee, or should I do it?
Well, I mean, the last meeting, we talked about, we were awaiting some, comments or answers to some of the questions that the committee had, which you provided. I forwarded that to the members of the committee as you requested, They both expressed that they would like to be able to sit down not only with the county council, but our freeholder solicitor as well. Freeholder Gatto expressed that she was out of town and wouldn't be able to attend today's meeting. So I tried to reach out to her and schedule something beforehand, but that didn't happen. And I think I let you know that kind of was where it was, and the committee had wished to meet one more time to look at your answers and discuss them all together instead of missing asynchronously, so to speak.
I just want to state that I did provide written answers to all the questions. My position isn't going to change. I don't understand why we're having trouble moving in a more transparent place where we would be supporting survivors of sexual harassment and assault instead of protecting perpetrators.
When you say transparent, are you implying that
Not
the committee,
no,
the county overall?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. This would make us so open and not honest, so open and transparent, and that I just don't understand why I'm having pushback.
Well,
That's all.
I mean, this is the process that we went when other, other changes to county code came up. I mean, there was one in particular that went on for months and months and months. I mean, if that's your true intention, I don't understand why you would want to continue without having your questions addressed within the committee setting and with solicitors. If that's the true intention of your resolution.
Just don't know how many more meetings we're going to have.
Freeholder Bertino?
We have one.
Yeah, your statement about pushback, I totally disagree with it. Even the implication that the committee is pushing back on the issue, we're simply asking to give us the opportunity, as I've requested, and I think I said that to you in the email. I just simply want some of my questions answered. There's always information on the, especially when you're dealing with the state of New Jersey on open public meetings, that I want to make sure that there's no issues with us, that we don't qualify with state regulations on our local. As far as me generally, anytime there's public funds used, I don't care, put it out there, because that's what it's supposed to be to me. I could care less. But from the legal perspective, if we open ourselves up to some litigation by doing that, I want to make sure the public understands the litigation that we get if we can support a resolution without vetting it, so we know what we're getting into. That was simply put.
Okay,
That was all.
thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? I would just like to say that I also take objection to anybody trying to hold anything back here transparently. I did a little research, and I'm going to ask our counsel to answer a direct question. Mr. Steele, in the county, under the state statute signed by Jim McGreevy in 2002 on Oprah and open meetings, is there anything that we settle in a courtroom that is unoperable, including non-disclosure agreements?
Now, under the Oprah Act and the various amendments that have occurred over the number of years since it was first initiated, Oprah takes precedence over anything else. And if a proper Oprah request is made, unless there is an exemption under the Oprah Act for the material that is being sought, then it is fully disclosed and it is discoverable.
I want to say it one more, I want to make it more succinct. In a sexual harassment suit in any county of New Jersey, and if it has been settled in a superior court or federal court, are non-disclosure agreements exempt from Oprah?
No, they're not, and the reason for that is because they are in court, it's in public domain. Once it's in court, everything is discoverable in any event. All the allegations
that is a
that
clear
may be
point.
everything is discoverable.
I do not disagree. I
Okay.
completely agree with that.
Okay.
However, there are sometimes settlements that happen before there is a suit. If the county decides this case shouldn't even go to court,
You are so correct. And so with that, I have Senate Bill 1046, which is Loretta Weinberg's bill, expanding Oprah to the only part of our government that does not disclose court rulings on sexual harassment. That is the New Jersey State Legislature.
yes. I
You agree
understand.
with me there?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody in the public understands, and the streaming people over there, and our cameras. How you doing back here? Good to see you, buddy. Atlantic County has full transparency on any settled sexual harassment suits or any type of suit whatsoever, including non-disclosure agreements. But the state of New Jersey's legislature does not.
Yes, I understand.
The governor does, the county does, every municipality does, but the guys that dreamt up the legislation, that we asked them, why are you doing it? Because we can. Now, finally, we have a Senate bill that is going to put them under the same rules as we are. We want nothing more than to advocate for the rights of victims. But here it is. Even in this bill, if something is settled, as you pointed out, privately, it's usually at the request of the accuser that does not want to be disclosed. So even in this bill, they're still preserving the right of the accuser to not have that discoverable. However, the accuser, knowing this with good counsel, will say, I do not want a private settlement. I want it in the public domain. And then everything is discoverable. And so, the effort to put forth a resolution here to make us more transparent is still not mustering up through this. And I'll say one other thing about this Senate bill. Our discoverability follows state statute. You can go back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Take a look at what's happened with the Catholic Church, 40 years, right? This bill is not retroactive. So if you have a serial abuser that happened within the legislature, even with the new bill, let's make a resolution to have the makers of this bill amended to protect the victims, to go back and make it retroactive.
Support that.
Of course we would.
Yeah.
Because we all hear, if there's any inference that this county is not transparent, my research shows no. And as far as Mr. Bertino's comments on where every penny goes, I think that that should be discoverable all the time.
Well, that's the thing, that sometimes they're settled before they get on the docket. The insurance payments that are made to cover the settlements
Sure.
are never brought before this board.
Well, you put it like this, it's only because it's covered in state statute. That has to be changed. That's a function of the law that is followed in jurisprudence by the defendant's attorneys and by the plaintiff's attorneys. So the reason, and Freeholder Fitzpatrick, believe me, we could all get behind something right all the time. We can get behind anything that we think is a good idea, and I've done it myself. But if we don't have it vetted completely with our legal department and don't have everyone on the committee's answers, it just isn't prudent business to do.
Okay, so you're going to schedule a meeting with
Yeah.
council and the committee and,
Yeah, I've asked, Sonia, and even reached out to Jerry. He said Sonia will schedule and notify administration. Mainly, again, I said Freeholder Gatto wasn't available
Yeah.
since the last meeting. So I've already asked her when she gets back, schedule this in
And I think that's just the way that we should do it, and then whatever the committee comes up with, we will support. But to indicate that we aren't transparent is the only thing we're not transparent about is where the law handcuffs the transparency. And in the state government, up to now, they've been completely allowed to not disclose anything, which is ridiculous. So, all right, anything else? Under old business. New business.
I have something, Chairman.
Yes.
Just a quick question. I know that we have a number of different ad hoc committees that we all sit on. I was wondering, some of them haven't met for the year yet. Is that going to happen before the end of the year? Because my thought process says that at least there should be at least one meeting a year. I know, for example, the Shared Services Committee was formed this year, but it hasn't met yet. So I just wanted to bring that up in new business and see what everyone.
Well, every year we had a tourism committee meeting at one time.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to interface with the different tourist people. I was the one that came up with the asset review committee because we were thinking about privatizing different assets in this county when it looked like our budget was going completely down, which thank God it rebounded a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the year, we evaluate those committees that we never met with, we'll eliminate them next year because they have no purpose. And maybe a new one will come up that would have to do. So your suggestion is good. After the meeting, we'll look at those meetings, we can discuss it and see which ones are not really functioning anymore. It's like dormant.
Okay.
But you're absolutely right. Yes, real Patino.
Just one, that I chair is Finance Review. Finance Review generally doesn't meet. When we have issues, and I deal with the Parks Commission, when I meet with the Parks and Environmental, if there were issues about that related to it, obviously we would bring it back. But there hasn't. So there are some committees that are kind of like you say, you don't see that they meet because there hasn't had a need from a county perspective.
That's needed.
And then all of a sudden something will come up in like a Pinelands issue, and then all of a sudden soccer fields in Hampton, all of a sudden we got to meet, So, but I think it's a good suggestion to look at the ones that are dormant and really don't serve a purpose. But that's the reason why.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else in unfinished business? New business. Oh, that was new business. Okay, I'm sorry. Written communications, correspondence. Any one of us wish to talk about any correspondence that we received recently? Okay, and now we'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the public wish to speak, please feel free to come forward. Creed, you can speak even though, of course, she's not here. You got anything?
Well then, Mr. Chairman, since you asked.
Careful what I asked for.
Creed Poe, 169 Cumberland Avenue. Mr. Chairman, in all seriousness, I was back and forth on whether I would inquire about this or not, particularly through Mr. Steedle. Is it the understanding that there is or there is not a state law that would forbid the county from disclosing non-disclosure agreements made outside of a courtroom?
Mr. Steele?
Let me have a rephrasing of your question so that I understand
Okay.
exactly what the issue is.
I'll do it this way.
Yes, please.
Ms. Jones, a county employee, says that she was harassed by Mr. Smith, her supervisor. Brings those allegations through the process, goes through county administration. It's decided that recompensance needs to be had. The situation is such that Ms. Jones will leave county employment, receive some sort of compensation before anything even went to Superior Court. Obviously, again, since that was done through insurance, it doesn't come to the Freeholder Board. Is there, to your understanding, anything in New Jersey statutes annotated that would forbid the county from disclosing that, assuming there's the consent of, in this case, Mrs. Smith?
It works in the reverse. Actually, the Oprah law has a variety of exemptions.
Right.
One of the exemptions is an attempt to protect the alleged victim of a sexual harassment or gender harassment, and it functions to allow the process to take place internally within the county and then not make a disclosure if it's not desired by the, consented to by the alleged victim. So that is an exemption to the Oprah law. The process does not go public unless the person who is involved wants it to go public. More often than not, we don't, because if it was contained within a internal process, there usually is a reason for it. Sometimes the person doesn't want
I will answer the question.
any information at all. I'm not finished.
I'm sorry?
Sometimes the person doesn't want any information about a harassment of that nature becoming public, and for a lot of good reasons. Stalking could be one.
And Mr. Chairman, I understand Mr. Steele's answer, but that was not quite the question that I was laying out.
Well,
Because I was saying
that's why I asked you to rephrase.
well, that's why I was saying with the consent of the employee who was involved, is there anything that prevents the county
No,
from
not-
disclosing? That
not
was where
under
my
the Oprah
question.
law, no.
But on the other hand, if that's not, it wouldn't otherwise be known, and if the employee, if in this case Ms. Smith is being told, you will receive X in return for signing the NDA, a lot of people may choose to sign the NDA even if they were okay with it being made public, because that makes it easier in what is already a very difficult situation. And Mr. Chairman, we can have a discussion on some of this, and
It's,
it's that time of the year too, and I understand, respect that, and that's not where I think any of this is coming from, but just
just to make it clear though, NJSA 47.1A (1.A), if an employee complaint remains internal, the documents are exempt under that statute from disclosure. If the employee files or complaint in a public forum, the Oprah privacy laws no longer are applicable. It's as simple as that, black and white.
right. And but the thing is, the proposed ordinance is saying that the county in this case, and again, not saying that it's ever happened and hopefully would never happen,
We'll research it and give it.
but that Ms. Smith in that situation, in phrasing the question, could not be told, well, you need to sign the NDA to go on with your life. And that's the
It's a
I think that's where the ordinance.
It's a mutual agreement represented by counsel and a judge.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that part of it.
Anyone
With
else-
respect.
Anyone else in the public wish to speak? We'll close the public portion. Anything really good to the order? Yes. Oh, Patrick.
I'd like to recognize what happened last week in Pittsburgh. Perhaps a moment of silence for the
Absolutely.
people who were murdered.
Absolutely. A moment of silence, please. Thank you, everybody.
And here's part two. The second part is perhaps we could have in front of our county building some kind of notice or a sign that says that we value our diversity and hate has no home here in the county.
Okay, that sounds like a good suggestion. Thank you.
How do we do that?
I guess we'll have to discuss that with the administration.
Thank you.
Anything else? Brother Bennett?
One of the members of the Youth Services Commission, Mr. Tyrone Page, passed away. So if we could have a moment of silence. for
Moment of
him
silence
also.
for Tyrone Page. Thank you. I'll take a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good day.